Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen, looking at Alpha 3.8.1 on the PTU with some updates. There was some additional info and leaks on the Cutlass Red and some very loose gameplay mechanics in the form of potential respawn points. Some Cutlass info, let's start with that. I have it from a reliable source that the Cutlass Red is very likely to release with the 3.8.1 live patch, hopefully with the PTU earlier than that. Also, the Cutlass Black might have some changes to its rear section, potentially at some point in the future as well. That's not confirmed, but it's been suggested a few times by CIG staff that it might get a toilet in the back, or its rear section's going to be sort of like updated when they look at the rest of the Cutlasses. I saw on Star Citizen leaks as well that they had also found some Cutlass Red files in 3.8.1's PTU, and that even had references to medical gameplay in the files as well. So, as I've previously just suggested and talked about, this could possibly see ships with medibays acting as spawn points for your Cell 4 team members. That leak is just hint messages talking about setting your preferred spawn point and intensive care units, medibeds and that sort of stuff. So grains of salt and nothing confirmed yet. It would be amazing if these are spawn points though, being able to recover quickly from accidental death and not having to travel huge distances would save so much time in the verse. Organised events would really be able to make use of this, enabling much more ease of access to players that want to set up silly events in game, and then being able to get like a turnaround of players constantly spawning in and running in. If you had like Rexilla's silly 25v25 fights, you could have people constantly spawning from spawn points, and then you'd have to take out that spawn point to win or something like that. That'd be pretty cool, pretty slick. I do think we will at least see the Cutlass Red in 3.8.1 live though, maybe not the medical gameplay. We'll have to wait and see. I say medical gameplay, it's changing its spawn point. Let's take a look at the full updates and patch notes for the current Alpha 3.8.1 PTU build. They've added separate hostility activation under accidental fire thresholds for party members. They've added target nearest friendly functionality and keybind. Camera shake is now a slider option in the options menu. They've added auto zooming on selected targets. Now, this is a default off, but it's a subtle zoom on the target when the weapon prediction points, the aiming point, and the look direction all align. You can enable this and disable this, as well as a maximum zoom value. They can all be adjusted in the game settings. They've added footsteps on wood sounds at appropriate locations in Area 18, removed aim action from the gamepad due to look-ahead mode conflicts, and to unify setup with the default joystick. Security patrol quantum travel interdiction will no longer occur for lawful players, but will still occur for players in normal transit. They've added an entrance light ring to indicate where players should stand to get the entrance interaction on the mole. They've added mass on the Breton power plant. They've adjusted the position of the bed exit and logout interaction in the Aurora. They've synced the light states of the Caterpillar to the exterior door switches. They've improved audio feedback on ship weapon impacts, rebalancing the volume levels of shields and hull impacts, and added audible vibration and duress stress sounds on heavy hits. Tweaks to improve the way ship ambient audio changes with the power state of the ship have been made. Tweaks to improve the audio mix and audio behavior during quantum travel. They've added a new door on the side of the mole to fix a problem with sideways openings clipping in the visible exterior of the ship. Lots of bug fixes as well with this patch. So players should no longer be able to fall out of the Argo mole during quantum travel. The mining storage containers beneath the mole should also now have collision. They fixed incorrect animations being played with female characters sprinting with a pistol. Melee with the Animus missile launcher should now correctly deal damage. They fixed an issue preventing players from getting their intended starting UEC value. Also an issue where players that had rented one ship, if they attempt to rent another one, that would sort of like time out and fail. So you're now able to rent ships again freely, basically. They fixed an issue for players where they would appear offset when entering the Herald's bed. Cargo holds when mining should no longer randomly fluctuate to full or empty with their contents occasionally, which is a great fix again. Lots and lots of problems with that I've had. They fixed some issues with players falling through the surface of planets. Shield HUD warnings should now only display when taking damage rather than on startup. Pips should no longer be affected by head movement. They fixed an issue causing players to get locked in third-person camera when using any turret in the Starfarer. Patrol missions should no longer occasionally hang when given a hold command. It should now no longer be possible for extraction and fracture UIs to be switched when mining. The call to arms mission should no longer be able to be duplicated on the Moby-Glass. Apparently people were taking loads of those call to arm missions at once and then getting rewarded like 8 times or more than once for killing a pirate. FPS AI kill sweep missions should now track kills and complete properly. Turret interaction prompts on the Caterpillar should now no longer be inverted. Ship outgoing hail should now have UI audio. FPS weapons should now consistently fire when drawn. Thank you. Thank you, CIG. I can fire in FPS mode. The Starfarer Gemini should once again have its missile racks. The call to arms mission should now appear to all players who meet the requirements. They fixed an issue where quantum drive spooling up would sometimes not be heard, particularly on large ships. They fixed an issue where objective timers wouldn't end in the escort missions. Rented ship timers should now be consistently displayed on the appropriate terminals. They fixed too far away arrival points for quantum travel to New Babbage and Lorville. Regular clothing sounds should no longer be audible while wearing a spacesuit. Players should no longer lose the ability to quantum travel to another orbital marker after traveling to one initially. Weapons on the Personal Manager app on the Moby-Glass and kiosks should no longer appear heavily out of scale, and so no tiny weapons anymore. They fixed some of the fine kiosk placement and missing textures on them. They fixed power MFDs displaying the wrong values. Patrol missions should no longer start spawning repeated hostiles when the number of players involved changes, which is a shame because they were quite silly. They fixed an issue where the delivery location markers for Reco delivery was not located on the locker. Reco invite missions should no longer cause multiple markers. The Chemron mission issued by Wallace Klim should now correctly direct you to Grimhex instead of Lebsky. The comms MFD should no longer fail to automatically refresh when coming into an ATC's, an air traffic control or landing zones range. Player arms should no longer flail about when getting on and off the passenger seat of the Dragonfly. They fixed an issue where ships could be stored at outposts that can't spawn them, and an issue where rain canopy effects on the Mole weren't there. They've increased the time available to pick up deliveries for associated missions. They fixed an issue where party chat would refresh every time a player was added and or removed. They fixed the Argo Mole's incorrect ore capacity for its cargo. Overlapping rock scan data on the Mole's turrets has been completed or fixed. The Eckhart Group mission bounties having the quantum travel marker remain after the target is killed, and that's been fixed. FPS weapons should no longer vanish from inventory when swapping. All the FPS problems have been solved for me, pretty much with that. Obviously, still derpy AI, but that's a whole other matter. They fixed an issue where selecting an item you could not afford would cause others to be impossible to buy. The server blade in the Clovis mission should no longer fall through the planet when placed on the ground. They fixed missing audio on the mining arm extension and retraction. There's been a huge amount of crashes fixed, with 10 server crashes and 12 client crashes being addressed. There is still a load of known issues, though. Hopefully this means they will be addressed, at least some of the more egregious ones, for the 3.8.1 live patch, and at least they are acknowledging them. The new way that CIG look at known issues is they do list a large portion of the ones that they are trying to fix in the short term. The character head will sometimes vanish when cycling through available sources on the character customizer. Once an Animus missile launcher spare mag has been emptied, the player can no longer equip fresh mags in the same slot. Ships can be displayed as unknown after destruction, be available for spawn, but not appear on their specified hangar. Entering or exiting via EVA can sometimes cause the player to turn and spin suddenly and harm themselves. The Pisces appears as placeholder text on the commodity kiosks. They've have objects that fall through the floor when dropped, which is really annoying. That's one of the things I desperately want fixed. When server FPS is low, the Moby-Glass can sometimes close immediately after opening. Do want that fixed as well. There's stutter on the Moby-Glass occasionally, and it comes up and down, even when that's not the case in my opinion. An extra static train can appear at Lorville sometimes and prevent the use of trains. The visuals of ships on the rental screen may have missing areas or disappear completely. The Caterpillar will occasionally rock or tip over on itself after landing on a planetary body. Entering ships with ladders can cause the player to drop the delivery boxes, which is good, because that means it's not an intended feature, dropping cargo boxes when you go up ladders. We still have the problems with the Cryastro services not being able to service your ships at major ports sometimes, where at the moment you just have to hover above the landing pad to request services, otherwise you might not get them. Rentals and or rental timers may not work when renting a second ship. I thought the earlier patch note actually implied that that was fixed, so I will need to test that. Party markers will vanish from their respective players if they die far from their respawn point. If a player's ship is destroyed after bed logout, they will return to the server at origin sometimes. So that's like you might spawn in the sun or a planet or something somewhere weird. NPCs may sometimes be doing usable animations in places that they shouldn't be doing them. Countermeasures are not working as intended to deter missiles. The 890 jump does not have the correct cargo capacity. The combined cannon and distortion weapons are not working as intended at the moment. Elevators at Port Tressler and Everest Harbour may not show when called. Jump server if you can't leave. If the quantum travel marker is at the edge of a moon or planet, it's possible that you might try and quantum travel through that particular astral body and explode. Purchased commodities will often visually not appear in the ship's hold. Players may still experience stalls in performance shortly after loading into Star Marine and firing their weapons. NPC beacon notifications will sometimes display an incorrect distance. AI ships can get stuck sometimes, and AR markers for enemies can sometimes be seen through the walls in Star Marine. And that's sort of it for the info we have on the 3.8.1 PTU. It does look like the 3.8.1 live patch will have a persistence wipe, so bear that in mind. Not confirmed, but almost certain. There isn't an indication here if we're going to have platform persistence for this patch. Now, as far as I'm aware, platform persistence is almost entirely a back-end feature, so we might not know if we're getting platform persistence until 3.8.1 is live, or it might be later in the 3.8 branch. I mean, it could be pushed back to 3.9. We'll have to wait and see, but as far as I'm aware, they don't need a patch to implement it. You see what I mean? Because it's back-end. But what do you think of the fixes in 3.8.1 in the PTU? Have you tested the PTU, or are you waiting for the live build? I'll put a link down below if you're wanting to get into the PTU but have no idea how to. At the moment in this first PTU, the servers did seem a bit unstable. I was getting quite a few crashes. The servers were going down. I was getting client crashes and server crashes, so bear that in mind. Do you think we will see the Cutlass Red in the live patch? What about choosing respawn points or spawning in the Cutlass Red? Do you think that will be a thing? Whatever your thoughts, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Every month we have a ship giveaway for January 2020. It's for an Anvil Arrow and Star Citizen game package. Just comment on any of my videos made this month to be in for a chance. More details in the description below. Oh, it's time to shill. If you're looking for a VPN, then consider NordVPN. They have many advantages over free VPNs, but are incredibly cheap, and I use them and can recommend. There's Shadow as well, which is an alternative to owning your own gaming PC. They give you a sort of Windows 10 environment focused on gaming, and it leverages the power of your instats and their cloud so that you can stream it to any device or other PC or laptop or phone or whatever. And you can now order systems with varying scales of hardware for up to 4K gaming, and as always, it works fantastically well with Star Citizen. It's an extremely affordable way to get access to a high-spec PC. Links below to Shadow and Nord, and make sure you use the code BoredGamer to get a discount. Thank you very much for watching, and if you want to support my channel further, consider becoming a Patreon or YouTube member via the join button, or sharing my videos, or liking and subscribing. Take care, and I'll see you in the verse.